Now I'm at the point you wanna be with me. I'm vibing out at a higher frequency, cause everything that I want and I'm gonna be, it's when I wake up, that's when I start to dream. Someone you love is talking down, here is the plan. Let it fall through like a handful of sand. Nothing happens overnight, what you must understand. If you dwell on the bad, then you don't stand a chance. Something you want upset, saying why it ain't mine yet. That's because now you have yet to change your mindset. People don't put their mind to rest while they're so wired. A lot of people go to sleep and wake up tired. Power of positivity and persistence. Say that I can, we'll just sit back and witness. Make an impact when our time is done. Make money, help people, and have lots of fun. Whoa.
Welcome to Office Hours, hosted by legendary sports executive, entrepreneur, and investor David Meltzer, where the brightest entrepreneurial minds in business, sports, and entertainment get together to talk about success, failure, and everything in between.
And that's where success is, in that gray area, finding ways to create innovation.
While you're feeling the sting of your setback, God is preparing your comeback.
Take a deep dive into the mind of some of the world's most impactful guests.
You know, what would you advise either your younger self or what would you advise to somebody else going through it? And I would very much advise people to go straight into the thing that they know that they want to do.
Action is the antidote to anxiety, right? So what actions can I take over market anxieties and anxiety I have over things I can't control?
To share their strategies and tools to dominate their respective fields.
Whatever it is you're trying to heal from, you can't fully heal from it if you're not all the way in.
It's not how smart you are, it's how are you smart. And when you understand your brain type, it also, that self-awareness is a superpower, but it also informs how you can relate to other individuals.
No matter what level you think you're at or where others think you are, you got to reach up.
David Meltzer hosts Office Hours.
Good morning, everyone. We are blessed to be here on the overlap agreement training. And I promise you, if you're not here, you share this, because this will change your revenue. It will change your neighborhood. It is the best way that I found to capture all options, opportunities, and touches of favor, distribute them, prioritize them, and execute on them or redistribute. And it is the cornerstone to abundance, to the infinite loop of more than enough of everything for everyone. Most people go through life helping one another, and yet they are not benefiting each other. They're not intentional about this neighborhood of people that help each other and know people that can help each other. Remember, that neighborhood of people that help each other, know people that can help each other, they buy from each other and sell for each other. And nothing will help you personally and professionally thrive like people selling for you and you selling for people. But so many times, so many of us have introduced opportunities and been left out, forgotten, or manipulated, cheated, or even stolen from when it comes to referring people and helping people. I like to create a system based off of those overlap agreements. And to set the room, I want to make sure at the very beginning, we have something super exciting going on July 19th, and I want to invite our entire community out to YouTube Theater. It sits with SoFi Stadium. Dane Cook and I are doing the collab. It's an intimate and proximate conversation. It's going to be able to allow us to laugh bigger, laugh louder, think bigger, and change. Thank you so much. We are blessed to be multicasting as usual. Let me get right into the overlap agreement. One of the biggest complaints I have from my coaching clients is that they help other people and they don't feel appreciated. They don't get anything back. They're not in the infinite loop of giving where they give, they're given so much, they don't receive anything, and they certainly don't want to ask for more. What we're trying to do is create a community of people, a neighborhood of people that help each other and know people that can help each other, because those people, they buy from each other and sell for each other. But if you don't have the system in place in order to facilitate the millions of dollars that you have helped others make and have seen nothing from, which is discouraging for helping other people. How many times have we made a referral and then somebody comes back months later, maybe even years later, and said, "Oh my God, thank you for introducing me to that person. You know, I just closed $8 million deal." And so I've created a system to have a codified capture of how I can help each other, how we can help each other, and others can help us. And it is a system of memorialization, of capture. It's not a system of binding agreements. It's a system of maximizing the prioritization of how to utilize our time in giving and helping others. And so I created an overlap agreement, and we are happy to send anyone the template of this agreement that has changed my life. It has gotten up to 8 figures of income, of revenue, from these memorializations of how we're going to help each other. And in context of this, it's very important to remember, on the guise of being annoying, meaning repetitive, because we don't really get the time around. What does memorialization mean comparatively to a binding agreement? Well, number one, a memorialization is just a capture. It's to remember, recollect, and remind us who it is, does what, and how we can help us, and how we can help them, and how they can help us. And this memorialization is the key component of also prioritization of how do I prioritize my time on who I should help and who can help me. And to memorialize something, all we need to do is have a written reminder that can be searched in order to facilitate how we can help one another and what we can do. In that memorialization, we have to feel comfortable and confident in the value that we provide. And that value needs to be clearly indicated. A memorialization can be as simple as a email. Now, I use a template that clearly indicates that it's not a binding agreement. So if people don't live up to what they promise, we give them permission that on agreement or the decision to have a memorialization of how we can help each other, that time, value, and emotion will change. And therefore, you don't have to live up to it. And I know that sounds silly, but think about how much time, emotion, and value you save by making it a memorialization, not a binding agreement. And in that memorialization, allow people to change their mind according to their circumstances, and edit or change it. Now, what is the impact of that? Well, for me, if I have a memorialization that you will give me a Starbucks gift card for referring a family to your dental office, and I will give you 20% of finding me a speaking engagement, and I send a family over to your office and you don't give me a Starbucks card, well, I don't have to worry about litigation. I don't have to worry about anything at all except for mitigation. And in the aspect of mitigation, I have to decide, should I continue to send families or not? And I will find out that someone has not done what the memorialization has said, remind them with the codified memorialized template that I have, or email that I've saved and just say, hey, reminder, I know I sent the Smiths over, how'd that go? Um, I also included our memorialization of how we're going to help each other. Do you have any other speaking engagements for me or whatever? If they decide to change their mind and not live up to sending me a Starbucks card, now there's no resentment or guilt or anything. It's just a matter of deprioritizing or continue to prioritizing the memorialization. Now, a lot of people don't feel comfortable with that. They love to be right. They don't give people an opportunity to change their mind. They don't give an opportunity for people to understand that the minute a decision is made, or written, implied, or verbal agreement is made, that emotional value changes, and therefore there's several reasons why people don't live up to what they agreed upon or decided to do for others. Number one is time, emotion, and value has changed. Or two, people also forget. I will give you an example. Writing a book with a kid that I've mentored since literally he was 5 years old, and now he's 40, and he has a multi-million-dollar business. And we have a book about perspective of mentoring. So we go through, because he had worked for me, we've known each other for so long, we share each other's perspective on certain situations that went well and it goes well. When I was CEO of Samsung's first phone division, we had a phone called the PCE phone. It was a Windows CE device, and it was in 1999. And this young entrepreneur was 19 or 20, and I gave him a summer internship to come work for me. And I promised him at the end of the summer that I would give him a phone, one of the world's first convergence devices that we were selling in Korea and China and Japan and bringing into the United States with LA Cellular that became Verizon. But anyways, for years, this kid had held on to resentment because I did not give him a phone. And when this came out in writing this book, this mentee mentor book, I asked him, did you ask me or remind me that I promised to get you a phone? I was running the second largest manufacturer of phones. I was running a huge business, a 19-year-old intern, although a family friend, although I cared about you. I just didn't remember. And meanwhile, for 20 years, this kid has held on to resentment and a feeling that I didn't live up to what I promised. And it impacted us, our relationship, all because I didn't remember, all because he didn't remind me, all because we didn't have a memorialization that said, hey, if you work for me all summer, I will give you a phone. A simple memorialization, not a binding agreement. He didn't sue me for the phone. He didn't ask me for the phone, but a memorialization that he could confidently and comfortably send over to me as a reminder, a recollection, a remembrance of what we promised, and an opportunity for me to provide that promise or to alter that promise or adapt that promise, because it's just a memorialization, not a binding agreement. So many people lose out on opportunities, options, and touches of favor, but also create resistance, interference in relationships because they don't use an overlap agreement, because they make assumptions, or in my opinion, even worse, when it comes to referral agreements, they make them binding. So they don't give people opportunities to change their mind, to adapt and mitigate what was promised at the time that may not be realistic today because deals change. Do you know how many times someone has a referral agreement and the situation changes and the person hides or lies because what they perceived to be fair at the time that the referral agreement was created, the deal had changed so much that it would be impossible, it would be usury in order to facilitate what the agreement said. And so part of understanding the overlap agreement, meaning that in the context of my day, if an opportunity overlaps what I'm doing, I run into somebody at the airport that needs a dentist. or someone asks me, hey, do you know anyone that does multifamily Section 8 investment? Or somebody asks me, do you know a good football helmet? Or whatever it may be. It gives me an opportunity to be more efficient with my time by overlapping and having these split memorializations, non-binding agreements of how we're going to help each other and be rewarded for helping each other. And it also allows us to mitigate the change that exists and search for dentist, football helmet, multifamily property investment in order to facilitate. And you can use your simple Outlook or your CRM or your SFA in order to facilitate uh, finding who in our neighborhood we can help or who can help us, and maximizing the opportunity, because on the other side of this template, which has created 8 figures of revenue for me and income for me for over all these years of just codifying, memorializing, not one of these overlap agreements has created any type of conflict for me because they're non-binding. Have I deprioritized people from my life for not being comfortable and confident in facilitating a memorialized promise and adapting or adopting it into what the time, value, and emotion is today? Absolutely, I've deprioritized people in the reference of what I used to have binding referral agreements that created me pain, setbacks, failures, mistakes, resistance, guilt, resentment from both parties. And then both parties in the neighborhood are then creating a interference between the abundance of people who want to buy from each other and sell for each other. It is a terrific way in order to facilitate getting rid of what most entrepreneurs tell me is one of the most frustrating things, is that they have helped so many people and not ever ask for anything back, even feel cheated or resentful. They've made introductions or helped people with deals and not received anything back, even if there was a binding agreement. And to facilitate, some sort of escalation in a binding agreement usually costs more than the agreement itself. And so, understanding how we prioritize those agreements and the idea of memorialization and not binding. Now, another thing that people fall into a trap of is, how much do I ask for? Well, the understanding memorialization is, this is an overlap agreement. If you want me to prioritize finding people to help you, I'm going to choose the people that either one are easiest to find or two pay me the most. So, in the context of this idea of an overlap agreement, a memorialization, not a binding agreement, to go ahead and facilitate how much you can pay, it's, for me, math. What is it worth to you to have someone bring you business? And you should know the math of how much it costs you to get a client and keep a client. And if you don't know that number, then you're not ready to go ahead and have an overlap agreement of any type of scope or scale. Now, if it's for a Starbucks card or something like that, now there's usually something easy, like the guy who cleans your car, the landscaper, your house cleaners, your uh, dentist, people in that context. I will tell you how beneficial these overlap agreements can be. Is that with my dentist, I've referred, as he was starting off here, tons of families to this incredible dentist of mine, and have offered him 20% to get me speaking engagements or coaching clients, because he's talking to high net wealth individuals in his chair. And for me, my favorite story is at the American Dental Association annual meeting. And he was more motivated than my speaking agency to get me a speaking engagement, because he sits on the board and is part of the decision-making process in order to facilitate getting that done. And I was amazed, because he held his bottom line and ended up getting me an extremely high paid, highly exposed annual meeting speaking agent, and was extremely motivated to make sure that I was their choice. Uh, Needless to say, not only did he pay with that one speech for a lifetime of dental work for me, but he also made more off of me on that referral agreement that he made helping my family as a dentist. These overlap agreements are the cornerstone of abundance. It allows you to give, it allows you to be aware of and memorialize what's given. It allows you to be comfortable and confident and worthy of receiving. And it is a mechanism that gives you that same inspiration to ask for more. Now you're living with the overlap agreement in abundance in the world of more than enough of everything for everyone. And you have taken away the reaction to fear that you'll be cheated, manipulated, stolen from, or resentment or guilt, which always occurs when we try to help someone or we do help someone, we don't feel appreciated. We don't feel as if they've added as much value to us that we've added to them. And it's a template that you can bring up as you're talking to people and say, hey, I'd love to help you. What are you doing today? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Would it help you if I brought you more families into your dental practice, or I had you wash the fleet of cars over here, or I introduce you to my neighbors to clean their house, or I find a buyer for your house, or I find an investor for you. And in this memorialization, you can facilitate not only a fair, abundant quid pro quo in the sense of we know exactly how we can help each other, and determine upon the value of how we can help each other will determine upon how much time, attention, and intention I give to the matter. Say just on with over 100,000 people registered on the webinar, with all the people on TikTok, Instagram, anywhere out there on Clubhouse, there's probably close to, in my opinion, over $100 million of lost revenue. People listening here going, gosh, what if I just would have had a memorialization, an overlap template to use, and that I could email and just say, hey, thank you so much. I'm really excited that you're going to help me with this, and I'm going to help you with this. Here's a memorialization. This, in capitals, is a non-binding agreement. The prioritization and motivation is to help one another, and I will utilize it as opportunities are overlapped. And if it's worth it for me, I might even seek opportunities for you if it's falling into the context of prioritization, that it's worth it. And so many people are missing out. They're leaving so much on the table for them and others because they don't have a simple system to capture what we can do for each other, to be able to distribute that internally in their own company and externally to others. Prioritize it according to the options, opportunities, and types of favor that exist. And it's usually two criteria in which we prioritize under. One, how easy is it to find clients or to help someone? And two, how much is it worth? And this overlap agreement, this memorialization, allows us to take into consideration in a very efficient way what to execute on during the day. It also has an interesting nuance of intuition. What I find really exceptional about the overlap agreement is it falls in alignment with what I pay attention to, what I memorialize, non-binding, what I pay attention to, what I focus in on, memorialization of how we can help each other, how we're going to buy from each other and sell from each other. When I pay attention to that, by creating the overlap agreement, a non-binding agreement, and then give it my intention by doing things aligned with that agreement, saying things aligned with that agreement, thinking things aligned with that agreement, believing things and feeling things, coincidences start to happen. And so in the context of this more than enough attitude and abundant, non-binding overlap of how we can help each other and know each other, how we can buy from each other and sell for each other, how we can help each other and remember, remind, and recollect that. In its essence, it is actually attracting, aggregating, and accelerating more opportunities, options, and touches of favor for us, because we're creating more opportunity, options, and touches of favor, and we're able to monetize it in a profitable margin. And it has its own prioritization mechanism, and it has its own out, meaning that it reduces the resentment, guilt, resistance, in that distance that's created by binding people to a moment in time. Notating whenever we come to a decision, or whenever we have an agreement, verbal, written, implied, even with consideration, meaning deposits are fully paid for, you are going to create a resistance if you don't have it open to the time, value, and emotional changes that occur. What creates a neighborhood is the management and development of value and vision, in the respect that we allow people to change their mind according to circumstance. And when we have a non-binding agreement, number one, it saves you a ton of time, because you definitely don't need any lawyers to have a non-binding agreement. And you don't have to use any lawyers when people want to change that agreement to suit the circumstances that have arisen. And the only thing that is a qualifier is the prioritization that occurs after the performance of the overlap agreement. It is only the prioritization that changes. So if somebody promises you something, or you promise them something, and you don't follow through and give them the PCE phone, when they remind you, you have an opportunity then to resolve it, to create a resolution, or it's open-ended to mitigate the resentment, guilt, and change that has occurred. And maybe if presented by that young man for his phone, I might have changed my mind and said, hey, look, I just don't have any this time, but I'll tell you what, on the next version, you'll be the first to get it, or whatever it is. And then that person could decide how to prioritize me via how I feed or bleed them, the relativity that we have because he was a close family friend, and the association that he was an internship and I was a leader trying to be an intelligent follower, to empower others, to be happy to plant seeds under trees that I may never sit under. And so as we prioritize according to the performance of a non-binding agreement called the memorialization, in this case, the overlap agreement that says, in the overlap of my life, I'm creating intention. I'm creating the mathematical equation of business and luck. By paying attention to my dentist, giving intention to my dentist, it created the coincidences, and vice versa for me for a huge speaking opportunity. Every day, I have thousands of memorializations, and people remind me that those have it, or I search for them because I can't remember who the wallpaper guy is in North Carolina. But all I have to do is search my Outlook for wallpaper guy in North Carolina, and all of a sudden, Chance Stevens in North Carolina is that person. And now, not only am I helping the person that lives in North Carolina that I met for a wallpaper person, but now I'm helping Chance get more business and introduce him to another person in the neighborhood, and I'm getting paid with that memorialization. And that is a classic example of how the overlap agreements allow me to create opportunities, options, and touches of favor, monetize it for both parties, create a bigger neighborhood of people of like minds, like hearts, and like sands at the same frequency, which then creates more attention and more intention, which creates more coincidences, which then aggregates the neighborhood, accelerates the growth of the neighborhood, and compounds exponentially the outcomes that I desire better. The overlap agreement will create more abundance than anything that you do. It has created 8 figures of income for me without ruining a relationship. Has everybody performed on the overlap agreement, the non-binding agreement, the memorialization? No. But a certain percentages have. And there has been no resentment or guilt because it's non-binding. So the expectation is that we will do our best to facilitate what was promised at the time, but we also understand that time, emotion, and value has changed since that agreement, that non-binding agreement. And then the only choice or decision to make determinative upon the performance of that or on that memorialization is whether or not in the future I want to do anything or what priority I give to the feeding and bleeding relativity and association. This overlap agreement costs you nothing and costs other people nothing. This memorialization leverages the technology that exists today in order to find people that we could help, and we know people that can help for them and through them and vice versa. This overlap agreement is the constitution of the neighborhood of people that want to help each other and know people that can help each other, that want to give everything, to give in everything, to receive everything, and be comfortable and confident in asking for more. This overlap agreement creates an infinite loop within the context of the neighborhood for everybody to help each other and to also create abundance. You will make more money, you will help more people, and you will have more fun if you institute this memorialization into your life. Email me for the template. You can use it, you can change it because it's non-binding. There's no legalese necessary other than this is non-binding. This is into my character that we'll do our best to help each other, and we will mitigate all resentment and guilt by allowing us to change our mind according to the circumstances, but still be able to help each other. When we can't, at least we have a mechanism to discuss why. But it is also a reminder, remembrance, and a recollection of what we promised and what they promised, a searchable way in order to facilitate abundance. Email me, david@dmeltzer.com, if you want that overlap agreement. All right, Nick, the well-oiled machine, the nick of time. Why don't we reset the room? It's halftime and it's ready for some questions.
Absolutely, and thank you so much, David, for the overlap agreement training. As a reminder, as everybody would like the template guide for today's training, all you have to do is reach out to David directly, david@dmeltzer.com. I'm sure he will be more than happy to throw in a copy of his book, which of course he will sign a copy, send a copy, and even pay for shipping. Once again, that is just david@dmeltzer.com. Now we're going to open things up for a little bit of Q&A. So as everybody is live here on Clubhouse, if you have your questions for David, please use the hand icon in the lower right-hand corner of the screen to request to join the stage, and we will, of course, aim to bring you up. If you are already on stage and have a question for David, if you can just please put a note in the room chat, that would be greatly appreciated so I can make sure to pass the mic over your way. And as a reminder, David will be in New York City next week hosting a VIP dinner, as well as Los Angeles hosting a VIP mastermind with special guests such as Hunter Cloud and Urban McManus and Congressman Tom Keene and many, many more. And of course, we cannot forget about the collab, Friday, July 19th at YouTube Theater, Dane Cook and David Meltzer. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com, and they are selling out quick. So please make sure to get your tickets now and reach out to david@dmeltzer.com if you have any questions or if you would like to join us next week in person as well. Now, with that said, David, let's go ahead and have our first question live here on Clubhouse. I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Judith. Judith, happy Friday. I see you on stage here. It's great to have you. Please feel free to unmute yourself and ask David your question.
David, good morning, Nick. How is everybody this morning?
Fantastic. How are you?
Great. Except for I'm in a niche business, and I'm having a problem dealing with a brokerage firm that I have to get all of my business from. And I'm having a little problem with the representative, and I tried to smooth her. I tried to be nice to her, and she only wants to communicate through email. So a lot of stuff can't get really communicated well. I've asked for a phone call or a conversation, and she always seems to not have time to be able to do them. I am so frustrated. I needed David to coach me and let me know what's the next step to be able to get in good graces with this agent.
Well, number one, it may or may not be possible to get into the good graces if you're not able to have a conversation. And so let's break this down into the first step, which is to stimulate the interest of this agent in order to facilitate a conversation. And so you're not going to be able to have a conversation via email or text. And so you're going to have to be more interested than interesting when it comes to one aspect, which is get them to have a conversation with you. Talk to the other people in the office, find out what they like, some way, find out how you can stimulate their interest to have a conversation. Once you're capable of having a conversation, what you want to do is build your credibility, but by using the open-ended question template, which is to, obviously this person has a closed mind, and unfortunately, it takes 1,000 times the energy to re-engineer a closed mind than it does to speak to an open mind. But one of the ways that we can re-engineer a closed mind, if you're able and capable of having a conversation with them, is to ask them questions about what they're doing today and what they like. Because remember, value is only transmitted by giving people more of what they like and taking away what they don't like. So if you're able and capable of having a conversation and find out, hey, I'm just really interested in understanding what you do and how I can be of service or value to you. And so if you can have a conversation, have them explain why they only communicate by email, and then keep on asking questions to see, would it help you if I did this? Would it help you if I did this? And even if you feel comfortable, do you know anyone can help me? Now, understanding the first step will be the hardest because you already have an indicator that you can re-engineer the closed mind if you're capable and able of stimulating interest to have actual conversation, either on the phone, Zoom, or in person. If you can't get them, then you know that you are stuck with a closed mind. And then you can do is try to, via email, ask the same type of open-ended questions in order to facilitate giving them more of what they like and taking away what they don't like, or even sending them, by doing research on what they like, something that they like. There's a variety of different ways you can continually to try to open that mind to facilitate ease in your transactions and the help that that person can give you. But there's also another alternative thing that you can do is find somebody else. And so if you find that you can't stimulate interest, you can't re-engineer the vision, you can't re-engineer the mindset, heart set, and handset, you're not capable of creating ease, then you can spend time to find somebody else, to start putting your attention and your intention of doing, saying, thinking, feeling, and believing that there's someone better out there, and start doing, saying, thinking, believing, and feeling, and showing that by searching for, asking others, hey, do you know what can help me? I'm looking for a new broker. I'm looking for a new person, and start putting it out there, including using the overlap agreement as a facilitator to inspire people with more of what they like and to monetize or create abundance in some sort of infinite loop of value. So the two mechanisms that I would utilize in order to help is, one, try to open that mind, have a conversation to find out how you can give more value to that person and appreciate the opportunity. And two, if it seems to be impossible or it's not worth the time to do that, then find somebody else and start putting your intention in finding somebody else as well. Does that sound fair?
Sounds great. Thank you for your insight and all of your wisdom. I'm really starting to get really frustrated.
No, that's an interference. Frustration is a response to fear. So let's shorten that distance of resistance and the frustration that you have, and create resolve by utilizing, hopefully, the first mechanism, but not the second.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, Nick, who's up next?
Yeah, let's keep this train rocking and rolling live here on Clubhouse. Go ahead and pass the microphone over to Nate. Nate, it's great to see you. Happy Friday. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask away.
Hey, Nick. Happy Friday. David Melton, thank you for your time. This was a powerful hour, and I was blessed to give you guys a ride from the airport back in Lexington after the Gopher got, and we had a fabulous conversation. So just want to say it's good to see you guys again, as always, here on Clubhouse on Friday mornings. You put a professional tone on some things that I've been teaching my team, and that's just like to really serve other people and ask people what you can do for them. I love how you call it the overlap agreement. It's given me some ideas on what I can do more for people in my community, how I can serve them. But what I want to ask you is, in my business, we help a lot of people. How would you create an overlap agreement, like if you were to serve multiple people in the same industry? So we all know lots of realtors. We know lots of car salesmen. What advice would you give so that we can serve multiple people without?
Oh, did he break up, Nick? Nick, can you hear me? I can't hear. I'm sorry. Nick. Should I log back in? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Hello, Nick.
Makes a lot of sense, not only for us, but more importantly for the people that we're serving. And I'd just love to hear David's advice on how we can serve multiple people.
Sure.
Honestly, a lot of us only have one dentist. We might only use one car salesman. So sometimes it's easy to create this agreement with somebody that we know real well. But like we all know 30 realtors, we all know 50 business owners. How would we create these agreements with multiple people in the same industry?
Yeah, remember, non-binding agreement and the aspect of prioritization is how we decide on who to utilize. So I probably know more realtors than anyone, but they all don't do the exact same thing or live in the exact area or match personalities in the exact way. They all may not live up to their promises in the same manner, and they may all not offer the same things. And so determinative upon who's asking for help, who's asking for a real estate agent or broker, investment, or whatever it be, to understand what they're asking for. Now, by having multiple realtors in multiple overlap agreements, I can better serve the person asking. And I can also prioritize the people that best serve me. Meaning, people ask me all the time, well, how much do you want for doing this? And I'll say, it's not a matter of what I want. It's a matter of what's fair to you that makes it worth it for me to help you. Because of the circumstances in which I don't control, because of the economics of an opportunity, I'm going to prioritize how much value you can bring to the person I'm referring and how much value you're bringing to me. And looking at who feeds me and who bleeds me, how relative you are to me, and what association we have also is determined upon in the prioritization of who I select in order to utilize the overlap agreement. And so inherent in the overlap agreement, like I said, the only decision isn't binding. It's not the law. It's not interference. It's not a waste of time, emotion, and value. It's actually a discernment of the prioritization of how we decide who we can help and how we can help them. And according to the value, meaning, hey, this person is better suited with this person, and this is better suited for me to introduce this person to this real estate agent and that one. It's all there, and there's no binding agreement to it. So if the person doesn't perform, then they'll be lessened in their priority. Now I'm going to use a different real estate agent. Or if my person who I referred has a bad experience, then I'll lessen the prioritization of that person and pick somebody else. It is actually a great way to allow the intelligence, intuition, and inspiration of every agreement of memorialized value in order to facilitate the best use of time, emotion, and value. Meaning that it gives us so many options and opportunities to facilitate bringing more value to people and being rewarded for that, and bringing more value to ourselves. Is almost the definition of the infinite loop. It is a vehicle in which to facilitate abundance of belief in the more I give, the more I'm given, The more I'm given, the more I can receive. The more I can receive, the more I can ask for. The more I can ask for, the more I can give, and so on and so forth. In other words, it's facilitating the aggregation, acceleration, and compounding effect of the world of more than enough of everything for everyone. And so it's not, you want as many people to have overlap agreements with you. Because remember, it's a mutual agreement. So if you have 30 agents and you're bringing the best people to them that are aligned with them, the best statistical success in the most efficient way, and you're prioritizing what they can do for you, don't forget, there's another side of it. Those 30 people are now buying from you and selling for you. If you're a dentist, if you're a car washer, if you're a real estate broker, if you're a speaker, an author, a coach, if you have, meetups and free Friday trainings, whatever it is you ask for in the memorial, or charity. I have so many. We're raising so much money for both Junior Achievement, which we got nominated for. I'm the Chief Chancellor of Junior Achievement University. This is the second year in a row we were nominated for a Nobel Prize. I'm the chairman of Unstoppable Foundation. We're raising millions of dollars for the Unstoppable Foundation via overlap agreements and being able to facilitate value both ways. When people say, David, what can I do for you? Show me my free Friday training. Read my book. Do you know anyone that can help me? I'm looking to raise money for another village for the Unstoppable Foundation. Whatever it may be, you want as many people as you can. And the idea of non-binding and the understanding of value of being able to be of service, of giving people more of what they like and take away what they don't like is going to be a key component of that. Does that sound fair?
I love that. I love the true collaboration at its finest, and I appreciate your time, David. And as always, let me know if there's any way I can serve you guys. If I'm not in your local town to give you a ride to the airport, reach out and let me know how I can help you on these social media streets.
Yeah, well, we are definitely trying to elevate, with not only Dane Cook and I at the collab, but our special guests, Rob Riddle and Marshall Falk, Baron Davis. So many more people are going to be there. You're also welcome, everyone, to fly into our masterminds at SoFi Stadium. It's right by LAX, or our VIP dinner in New York next week. I think Claude Silver is also going to join us, Nick. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Claude will be there.
Nice. What's going on? Who's up next?
Yeah, let's keep this thing live here on Clubhouse. Let me go ahead and pass it over to Brent, who I know will be seeing us next week in New York City. Brent, feel free to unmute yourself and ask David your question. Welcome and happy Friday.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, David. Thank you, community. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Excuse me.
So based on the dinners, I actually set up my first overlap agreement. So I'm on the train. I'm ready to go.
Nice. Congrats.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty excited about it. I'd like your template too, because I kind of called it a referral agreement, which is essentially the same thing, but I'd like to just get that all hashed out. But in any case, this is a really, really cool concept, and I really want to go deep into it a little bit, because where do you stop, right? Because you have so many people, right, in your network, right? You got your family, your friends, everyone. Like, does everyone get a binding overlap agreement? I feel like a lot of people can help a lot of people, and it might be just the play, like just issue an overlap when you freaking know, and you're good. And that's it. That's your lead generation platform. That's your machine, and abundance will come follow you. But is that really the right way to look at this thing?
Well, first of all, why not? Why not? Why not? What's interesting is the only deterrent factor in helping one another is a binding referral agreement. I always laugh at people when they're like, "Whoa, I'll pay you a percentage." Dave, I said, whoa. You're trying to bind me into scheduled time and scheduled effort. And that's not value for value. What you're talking about is an overlap agreement. So if you want to hire me as a consultant and you want me to prioritize my relationships, my effort, my time, my scheduled time in order to facilitate bringing you business, then I'm going to be paid for that in a binding manner. You're trying to employ me. When you say, oh, but I'll give you 20% if you do this for me, that's great. That's an overlap agreement. I'm not going to have my scheduled time. I'm going to have my non-time where in the course of my life, I'm going to pay attention and give intention, but it's going to overlap what I'm doing. I'm not going to cold call all day in order to facilitate bringing you a referral. But because I have a huge network and because I'm meeting people in person, on the phone, via email and social media, I'm building this neighborhood of people that want to help each other, know people that can help each other, that will buy from each other and sell for each other for a lifetime. So why not? Why not everyone you meet at least offer saying, hey, what are you doing today? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Would it help you if I did this? And can I memorialize that in a non-binding way in order to facilitate abundance between you? And if I do that for you, is there anything you can do for me? And when it can help me? I like more coaching clients, speaking engagements, people to come to my VIP dinners, meetups, holding courts, free Friday trainings, taking my free book, or even the overlap agreement itself. It would help me if you told people to email me to get their free overlap agreement to build a bigger neighborhood of people that want to help each other and know people that can help each other. And so my answer to you, my friend, and I cannot wait to see you next week because you bring so much value to our neighborhood. And you have seen the energy and value of coming as these things are oversold and over attended. The energy is incredible, and you bring that. So why not, Brent? Why not?
I love it. I love you, Dave. I'm glad to be a part of this. It's amazing. And freaking A, man. We're going places, dude.
Yes, we are. And I love your success and the proof of the elevation of others to elevate yourself. And you and your crew have been a godsend to the abundant neighborhood that we've created. So thank you. And I look forward to seeing you next week.
Thank you. Me too.
Awesome. Just real quick, Nick, people are asking on all the different platforms. Just a reminder, if you want the overlap agreement and the exercises for the overlap agreement from today, the training guide and the template will be sent to you. All you have to do is email me, david@dmeltzer.com. That's my first name, David, at my first initial D, last name Meltzer.com, david@dmeltzer.com. And we also can give you alerts on where we're going to be. We're booked in over 200 cities. I think when we come back from New York, we're leaving for Manila. Going to be speaking out there at Sigma, and really going to enjoy the hybrid life of vacationing every day and being able to do what we do virtually and in person as we venture over to Manila. Go ahead, Nick. Reset the room.
Absolutely. And we are working our way through the fourth quarter. We've got about 8 minutes left for a little bit of Q&A with, of course, the one and only David Meltzer for his Power Hour and Friday training. As we keep these questions going, let's continue to grow the room by inviting all of our friends, family, colleagues, anybody that we believe would benefit from this incredible conversation. And of course, as you have those questions for David, please use the hand icon to request to join the stage, and we will, of course, aim to bring you up. Now, David, for the next question, here on stage, I think I had saw you had put your hand up, or at least a emoji, in terms of trying to notify me that you had a question. Do you have a question for David today?
With me?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I did. So thank you. Hi,
Perfect.
David. This is Jessica with the Blue Background. You kind of alluded to this in some of the other shares and case studies. And I was curious if you could also break down how to communicate intangible value. You may have already answered this in a different way, but I have an agreement that's a more formal agreement with a shorter term project to kind of future opportunities and a bigger partnership with someone. And there's aspects about the formal agreement that either I found out I'm not the best at, or it's taking more time. And I was curious how to go about reevaluating and having that conversation as far as the intangible, the tangible. It's kind of what you're alluding to with the 20%, where it's like, okay, a lot more time, where I still want to move forward with a venture and a partnership with this person, but there's aspects about our agreement that are not helping.
Okay, so there's quantifiable value and then there's subjective value. And so those are the terms that I like to use in this circumstance where we're not really clear on what the value is. And so quantifiable measurements to me are money, time, and space. Now, space is a variable that's extremely difficult to quantify, but it is a quantifiable measurement. It takes hyper intelligence and academia background beyond intuition and inspiration in order to facilitate trying to quantify space. So I stick to time and money. And so for me, I start with what is the quantifiable measurement of this overlap agreement in the form of time and money. And if I can go ahead and analyze that and prioritize by time and money, then I can go ahead and see the subjective value, which is based off of my subjective values, my personal values. So I look and align with each day in the opportunities, the options and touches of favor I have, the subjective value that is based upon one, the relativity of the opportunity, the association of the opportunity, and then the quantifiable aspect of any of how it will feed or bleed me, both quantifiably and subjectively, based upon my values for today. So personal values, how's this personally going to help me? Experiential value is subjective. You know, is this a really fun thing to do? You know, throwing out the first pitch of a baseball game, if I get a sponsor to come to the Angels stadium, you know, whatever it may be. Giving values of how many people to help, you know, it's going to save 1,000 lives. Well, that's subjective, but it's certainly extremely valuable to me. And then, of course, receiving values of, you know, how does it make me feel? That's a very subjective thing. And in the context of my personal, experiential, giving and receiving values, I can have a layer of subjectivity and I can utilize that subjectivity each day to facilitate the prioritization of who I want to help and who can help me. And so I start in the quantitative side of time and money because it's easy to analyze and prioritize. And I look towards the subjectivity of relativity, association, and feeding and bleeding in alignment with my personal, experiential, and giving, receiving values. And then that helps me at least have a framework to prioritize on a subjective basis beyond the quantifiable value that is based upon time, money, and if you are capable, space. But you don't have to do that. It would take you too long for, in my opinion, to make it realistic. So great question. A lot of people don't discern between subjectivity and qualified value. And I think it's an important part of understanding your timing and risk tolerance to understand the differentiator between the two and get alignment of your timing and risk tolerance and the quantifiable and subjective values that are presented with overlap agreements and neighborhood people that are going to help each other and know people that can help each other. All right, Nick of Time, the Wombat himself, well-oiled machine. Let me take a quick question online because we've ignored over 100,000 people registered here. So let me just take one because this is an interesting one. What's the best way to manage your reputation in the instance of an introduction from a lab that goes sour? Well, first of all, we want to manage the expectations of the introduction. So if you know someone well enough when you make the introduction, so, you know, I've known this wallpaper guy in North Carolina for 20 years, he's going to do an incredible job. And if that goes sour, yes, you're going to lose credibility and your reputation will be damaged. But if you manage the expectation and say, hey, I met this guy at the airport. I really don't know him, but he has a wallpaper company in North Carolina and the reviews online look good, you're not going to damage your reputation at all. And so it's your capability of managing expectations through credibility of making those introductions according to your understanding and representations of how credible, because you don't want them to take a risk that's not aligned with their timing and risk tolerance. And so I think a lot of people don't manage the expectations of the reputation in the instances in introductions of how well they know someone. And so it's not a guarantee. Trust me, I've introduced people that I've known since they were 5 years old, and not understanding the circumstance or situation, or sometimes shit just happens. I've damaged my reputation by introducing people that treat other people poorly, even though they've treated me extremely well for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And it is part of the statistical success. Okay, it's 7 a.m. Pacific time. Please, everybody, if you want the training guide or the overlap agreement template, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. WOM, it's a well-oiled machine here, 7 a.m. Pacific time, 10 a.m. Please join us next week at SoFi Stadium for the Mastermind and our VIP dinner in New York. If you're going to be out in Manila, come check us out as well. Go ahead, Nick. Let's close out the room. We love Ramon. We love the Breakfast of Champions. Have a wonderful holiday weekend. Remember the memorialization of Memorial Day. God bless America, and God bless everyone that keeps us safe with all of these opportunities, options, and touches of favor. Go ahead, close out the room.
Beautiful. And
thank you so much, everyone. Go ahead. Once again, email me, david@dmeltzer.com. If you want to be alerted from everything from masterminds to meetups to holding court to VIP dinners to speeches to coaching to the collab at YouTube Theater and the tour of David Meltzer and Dane Cook, where we're going to laugh bigger, we're going to laugh louder and think bigger and change your mindset through comedy and philosophy, that's where you want to be. It's an intimate, proximate conversation with Dane Cook and I, Rob Riggle, Marshall Falk, Baron Davis. We're all going to be there to pour into our community. Ticketmaster is selling those tickets. Go on Ticketmaster. We'd love to have you there. Go ahead for the alerting. Go back to that notice 949-228-2905. It'll alert you of everything we have going on. 200 scheduled speaking engagements alone this year. So please join our community, get your memorialized overlap agreements with us and others, get the template, get the exercise and training guide from today, david@dmeltzer.com. Remember, most importantly, be kind to your future self and do good deeds. We will see you later. Thanks so much.